The man who laughed at paranoia. My name is Marcus Webb, and I used to think paranoia was for amateurs. For 12 years, I've worked in cybersecurity at a Fortune 500 company. I've seen every type of breach, every social engineering trick, every backdoor exploit. I've testified in court cases about digital forensics. I've trained FBI agents on network intrusion detection. So when my friends would cover their laptop cameras with tape, I'd smirk. When they'd whisper about targeted ads listening to their conversations, I'd explain cookies and behavioral tracking. When they'd share articles about phones reading your mind, I'd roll my eyes and launch into a lecture about confirmation bias and the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. If someone's hacking you, I'd say with absolute confidence, I'll be the first to know. That was 3 months ago. Before I learned that the most dangerous hack doesn't target your system. It targets your mind. The update. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember because I was finishing a security audit report, the kind of tedious work that requires coffee and silence. My phone buzzed with a notification I'd seen 1,000 times. Update available in Instasphere. Instasphere, the social media app that everyone uses. 2 billion users worldwide. Trusted. Verified. Updated every few weeks with new features, bug fixes, security patches. I tapped install without thinking. Why wouldn't it? The update came through the official App Store. The developer certificate was valid. The permissions were the same as before. Every checkbox in my professional paranoia was ticked. The progress bar filled. The app restarted. Everything looked normal. For exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. Too close to home. At 11:34 p.m., I was lying in bed scrolling mindlessly. That's when I noticed something odd. The recommended videos on my feed had changed. Not dramatically, just specifically. There was a video essay about imposter syndrome in tech careers. I'd been feeling inadequate at work lately, but I hadn't searched for anything related to it. A documentary about childhood trauma and adult attachment issues. My parents divorced when I was 8. I never talk about it online. A guided meditation for people who can't turn off their analytical mind. That phrase, I'd used those exact words in my therapy session. Last Thursday, in a soundproof room, I told myself it was just good targeting. Machine learning. Behavioral prediction models. I literally teach this stuff. But then I saw the 4th recommendation. It was a video titled, "When You Realize You're Not in Control." The thumbnail was a close-up of a man's eye reflecting a phone screen. I felt a chill run down my spine. Not because it was scary. Because it was perfect. It was exactly what I was feeling in that moment. Messages from nowhere. The next morning, I woke up to 3 notifications. All from an unknown sender. No phone number. No email address. Just a blank profile picture and a dash where the name should be. Message 1, do you remember the promise you broke? Message 2, August 2019. The conference in Denver. Room 847. Message 3: You left her there. My blood went cold. August 2019. I'd attended a cybersecurity conference in Denver. There was a woman, Sarah. We'd connected at a networking event, went back to her room. In the morning, I panicked and left before she woke up. Exhausted her completely. I'm not proud of it, but it happened. I never told anyone. Not my friends, not my therapist. It wasn't in any email, any text, any calendar event. How could anyone know? I checked my message logs. These messages didn't exist in the database. I pulled the raw data from my phone's memory. Nothing. They appeared on screen, but according to my device, they were never sent. That's impossible. You can hide a message from a user, but you can't make it appear without leaving a digital trace. It's like seeing a ghost in a photograph that was never taken. I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years. There. The professional breakdown. I spent the next 2 days doing what I do best, investigating. I ran packet sniffers to analyze my network traffic. Clean. I checked background processes. Normal. I examined app permissions. Nothing suspicious. I factory reset my phone and restored from a backup from 2 months ago before the update. The messages stopped. For 6 hours. Then they came back. On the old backup. Which meant the problem wasn't in the current software. It was something deeper. I checked my email accounts. No breach notifications. I checked my cloud storage. No unauthorized access. I even hired a private digital forensics firm, cost me $3,000 to do an independent audit. Their report, no evidence of compromise detected. And that's when I realized something terrifying. If I can't find the hack, and I'm one of the best in the field, then either this attack is using methods I've never seen before, or that there is no hack. Both options were equally disturbing. The real target. The messages continued. One every day. Always at random times. Always impossible to trace. But they changed. They weren't about information anymore. They were about emotion. You pretend to be confident, but you're terrified of being ordinary. Your sister thinks you look down on her. She's right. You're going to die alone because you can't let anyone see who you really are. Each message was a needle perfectly placed to hit a nerve I didn't know I had exposed. They weren't blackmail, there was no demand for money, no threat of exposure. They were psychological warfare. And they were working. I stopped sleeping well. I became irritable at work. I found myself second-guessing every interaction, every decision. I'd sit in meetings and wonder, is this thought mine or is it being planted? Then came the message that changed everything. You think this is about hacking your phone. It never was. We're hacking what you think is real. That's when I understood. This wasn't a data breach. This was a perception breach. Someone wasn't stealing my information. They were weaponizing it against my own mind. Descent into paranoia. I stopped using my phone except for emergencies. I covered every camera in my apartment. I started leaving my devices in another room when I showered, slept, or had private thoughts. But the messages adapted. They started appearing on my laptop, then my work computer, then on a burner phone I bought with cash and never connected to any of my accounts. That should be impossible. Unless they weren't coming from the devices at all. Unless I was being watched in real life, and the messages were just a delivery mechanism for that surveillance. I became obsessed. I swept my apartment for bugs. I checked for hidden cameras. I even hired a counter-surveillance expert. Nothing. My friends started avoiding me. My sister stopped returning my calls. My boss put me on voluntary leave after I accused our IT department of being compromised. I was losing my mind, and I knew it. But I also knew I wasn't crazy. Someone was doing this. Someone real. The discovery. It took me 6 weeks to find him. Not through hacking. Through old-fashioned detective work. I analyzed the metadata of every message, looking for patterns in timing. I cross-referenced them with my location data, my calendar, my social media activity. I looked for the invisible thread connecting them all. And I found it. Every message came within 6 hours after I'd had a private conversation, either in person or on a phone call. Never during. Always after. Which meant someone was listening to my life and then crafting messages based on what they learned. I compiled a list of everyone who had physical proximity to me during those windows. Cross-referenced it with people who had technical skills. Narrowed it down to 12 people. Then 11. Then 3. Then 1. Dylan Mora. He worked in my building. Different company, same floor. We'd shared an elevator a few times. He'd seemed friendly. Forgettable. I pulled his social media profiles. Tech enthusiast. Cybersecurity hobbyist. And then I found his blog deleted but archived. The posts were obsessive. About surveillance. About social engineering. About breaking people without breaking their systems. One post from 2 years ago: the best hack is invisible. You don't take data, you weaponize what they already fear about themselves. It was him. The confrontation. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I needed proof. I set a trap. I planted false information in a staged phone conversation with a friend, mentioning a fake secret that only I would know. Then I waited. 2 days later, a message appeared referencing that exact secret. I had him. I contacted a lawyer and a private investigator. We gathered evidence: his proximity to me, the pattern of messages, his deleted blog posts, even some circumstantial digital forensics showing unusual Bluetooth activity in my building. When we finally confronted him through legal channels, with authorities present, he didn't deny it. He smiled. "You were perfect," he said. "You thought you were unhackable. That made it so easy. I didn't need to break into your devices, Marcus. I just needed to make you think I did. After that, you broke yourself." He'd used a combination of proximity surveillance, listening to conversations in public spaces, social media scraping, building a psychological profile, Basic social engineering elevator small talk to learn my routines. And simple fear. The messages were sent through anonymous routing services, timed to maximize psychological impact. He never actually hacked my phone. He hacked my belief that my phone could be hacked. The genius of it was that the more I investigated, the more paranoid I became. The more paranoid I became, the more I isolated myself. The more isolated I was, the more vulnerable I felt. He didn't need technology to destroy me. Technology was just the delivery system. Aftermath. Dylan Mora was arrested and charged with stalking, harassment, and several cybercrime-related offenses. He'll likely spend years in prison. But the damage was done. I still flinch when my phone buzzes unexpectedly. I still catch myself wondering if a thought is mine or something suggested by an algorithm. I still struggle to trust that what I'm experiencing is real. The most dangerous hack isn't the one that steals your data. It's the one that steals your certainty. Because once you doubt your own perception, you're not being controlled by technology anymore. You're being controlled by your fear of it. The lesson: if you take anything from my story, let it be this. The devices we carry are powerful. But the real vulnerability isn't in their code, it's in our minds. Limit app permissions. Take digital detoxes. Pay attention to how content makes you feel, not just what it tells you. And remember, if something online is making you doubt yourself, making you afraid, making you feel like you're losing control, that might not be an accident. That might be the point. Stay alert. Stay grounded. And cover your camera. I was wrong about that one.